Yesterday, you were also talking about this summit on violent extremism, and you said it's not called a summit on Islamic extremism because there are other forms of violent extremism. Can you detail two or three of those other examples of violent extremism that are non-Islamic so that the American people will know what they should be looking for?
Yeah. Well, let me say a couple of things about that. Well, let me answer your question first. James Von Braun is somebody who, in 2009, June of 2009, less than a mile from where we stand right now, went to the Holocaust Museum and shot a security guard in pursuit of some radical, violent ideology. Back in 2012, an individual, Wade Michael Page, carried out an assault against a Sikh temple in Wisconsin. It's unclear to me exactly what ideology motivated him, but that is a pretty good example of somebody who has a violent, extreme ideology, and an ideology and extremist practices that are worth countering. Let me just give you one other example that's actually close to my heart. There's an individual who shot up the Jewish Community Center in suburban Kansas City. This is an individual who, again, subscribed to a warped ideology that he tried to use to justify this violent attack. And those are a couple of examples of the kinds of the kind of violent extremism that our summit is motivated to counter. And what we hope to do is to work with state and local officials to talk about best practices, about some of the things that they can do in their community, to make sure that individuals like this don't succeed in carrying out these acts of violence in the name of a warped ideology. Now, let me say one other thing, which is also true, which is, as the President and national security officials have said countless times, this administration is concerned and has expended significant resources and energy and time to counter violent extremists who carry out acts of terror based on their own warped view of Islam. And that is why we have seen this administration put in place a counterterrorism strategy in far-flung countries around the globe, because those violent extremists seek to justify their actions based on their warped view of Islam to carry out attacks against the West. But the reason that I describe it as a warped view of Islam is because these kinds of attacks have been roundly condemned in very forceful terms by Muslim leaders across the country. What we've also seen is that Al-Qaeda and its adherents and its affiliates have carried out terror acts all across the globe, and the majority of the victims of those attacks have been Muslims. Just yesterday, the Secretary of State, John Kerry, traveled to Peshawar, Pakistan, where he visited a school where violent extremists gunned down, slaughtered innocent children who were at their school. The vast majority of those children, they were Muslim. And one last thing I'll say about this is that is why many of you asked very pointed questions when we talked about the President's effort to build an international coalition against ISIL, about what role Arab countries were going to play in that coalition. Right now, over the skies of Syria, there are military pilots representing Muslim-majority countries flying alongside American military pilots as they drop bombs on ISIL targets. And that is an indication that these violent extremists who have sought